Oh no.
Welcome back, everyone, to Bonding Time. My name is Hutchinson, David Hutchinson, and these are my co-hosts.
Greenwich. Christopher Greenwich.
Patrick. Ramon Patrick.
John.
Give it a peer pressure, John. Give it.
John's the coolest, man. I
My
love
parents-
John.
My parents told me not to give in to peer pressure, so I'm not going to do that. Especially when
All
it's
right.
stupid.
So tonight we are talking about A View to a Kill, Roger Moore's final James Bond. Yeah. So let's kind of start things off with the opening. Ramon, let's hear what you have to say about A View to a Kill.
Here's the funny part about it. I'm going to start with the opening credits. I love them and hate them at the same time.
Why?
I love the way they went with like the paint, how it stood out, but there were some moments when I was like, "Ooh, this is definitely undergrad level
Oh
cinematography."
god.
we're way back in like John Connery's first 3 openings at this point. So I loved it at this point, and then I hated it, then I loved it again.
Wait. You said you didn't like the paint?
I said I liked the paint, I liked how it looked, the neon paint, but somewhere in there they just went too far and it was just weird. So like, oh yeah, the woman skiing with like, yeah, it was just weird. But I did kind of like the opening credits.
I
Opening?
liked the paint. That was cool. Like
No,
the
no.
coolest part of the
Hey,
movie
hey.
is that
What's the
thing
paint?
coming down.
Let the
Yeah,
man talk.
that is
Let
true.
the man talk.
That I agree with you, but some of the moves, like the streamers and skiing, it wasn't all that great. Opening sequence, it was just okay. It was, it was just alright. The stunts were actually pretty cool. Like they literally went down a vertical ski slope. That was pretty impressive. But aside from that, it was just mediocre for me.
What about you, John?
Well, I think that is very surprising from you, Ramon. I thought that you would have been loving the shit out of this. The opening sequence, I thought it was short and sweet. And the minute that these guys started playing California Girls, I was like, oh, so this is what I'm in for. I'm in for a absolutely stupid movie. Cool. And I was just like, all right, buy into it. It's like they're playing California Girls, Beach Boys in
Beach Boys, yeah.
a Beach Boys song in a ski scene. I know that they're fucking like they're just gonna fly off the rails here. There's no seriousness to this movie after you do that. So I was like, all right, cool. And I just bought into that. And I was like, all right, I'm going to just relax and have a good time. And they fulfilled it in every single way throughout that sequence. In the beginning, the iceberg that they were in.
Actually, I kind of like that. Was kind of cool. It was kind of cool to me.
Again, at that point, the minute that they played California Girls, I was just like, I gave up all realism. I just packed up and I was like, I'm along for the ride. I don't even care where you
Wait,
take
it was
me.
California Girls or Surfing USA?
I believe it was California. It was like, wish they all could be California girls.
Oh yeah, they did.
Yeah. And I was like, cool. I'm along for the ride. The opening credits, I actually really like the opening credits because it was James Bond. It was very James Bond, but it was, it was them being weird. This movie is weird. The chase scenes are a fucking mess. Like all of them are weird. So I liked it because it was short and sweet. It was funny. There was like a little bit of intrigue involved. And again, I did not treat this like a serious movie at all. Like there was nothing. If I tried to make this if I tried to view this as a serious movie, I would have had an awful time. So I gave up all that shit and I just went along for a ride. And I think the opening credits were fine. There was a little twist, so cool.
Yeah, I mean, the opening scene, I thought it was good. I liked it. Related to the main story, but
It did relate to the main story, and I did appreciate that.
yeah,
He actually had a purpose for him being there. I mean, I don't know how realistic it was, but he had a purpose.
yeah. I mean, I thought the action, the skiing.
The
I thought the action scene was really good.
was on point.
Yeah, him switching to like one ski as a snowboard. That was pretty cool. Yes, the Beach Boys song kind of ruined
It
it a little
didn't
bit.
ruin it. It didn't ruin it. It
didn't ruin
set
it.
the stage. It set the stage. It let you know what the fuck is about to happen for the next 2 hours, and it's up to you to listen or not.
But that's what did you find this movie very campy though?
Not
I
really.
found this movie
Yeah.
absolutely fucking ridiculous. I don't know if I would call it campy. It was ridiculous
Okay.
though, and if you watch this movie, like if you were trying to watch The Matrix, you would have had an awful time. If you watch this movie, like if you were watching Mortal Kombat, you would have had an amazing time.
Fair. It's fair.
I don't know. Actually, I mean, I thought the movie was actually doing really good. I thought the opening scene was really good. Aside from that music, if they just cut that music out, the opening scene would have been fine. Him getting into some random iceberg. I thought it was kind of funny. I was like, oh shit, okay.
Yeah.
With the
like-
British flag.
It's like, to me, what they did, right, is that they took the crocodile from the last movie and they're like, we're gonna put some ice on top of it.
You know what? It's exactly that actually. But if
Yeah,
it
but-
ain't broke, don't fix it.
But this is like a full submarine that holds more than one person. I think the crocodile was literally just one. It was just Bond. But
I feel like if somebody should got fired, I feel like if whoever's in the brainstorming room should have got fired for this movie and be like, listen, shut up. And just like throw them out the window.
so I thought the opening was decent. It wasn't. I didn't like the music either. I'm with you, Chris. I get why they played it. It was to be funny. It was, but it just isn't funny. Because snowboarding, I guess, was super new back then. Is like, oh look, it's like surfing. Let's play the Beach Boys because it's such a novelty. So I get why they did it, but it's still stupid. It's still stupid.
I don't think it was that they were like, oh, it's like surfing. I think that they were making it's a sarcastic, ironic joke. It's like,
I don't think they're that clever.
I want to believe that they're that
Didn't
clever.
come over that clever.
Yeah.
It did not come over that clever. I want to believe that they're that clever. Whereas, like, one is the furthest thing from skiing, surfing. Well, not in the sense of like the action, because skiing is actually very. I mean,
Well,
snowboarding
it was
is very similar
technically
to
snowboarding.
surfing. Yeah, well, snowboarding is very similar to surfing, even skiing a little bit. But I want to believe that there is like a juxtaposition where it's like super cold, warm, surfing weather. That's what I want to believe. That's what I'm gonna go with.
All right, you go with that. Opening, I like the opening. I love the song. It's one of my favorite songs in the whole series. "A View to a Kill" is awesome. Duran Duran for the win. And I liked the actual opening title. I thought it was more interesting than every opening title
Other one
sequence
before.
since The Spy Who Loved Me. Because I Live and Let Die was cool in terms of the graphics. Man with the Golden Gun was cool with all the gold. Then The Spy Who Loved Me. Then I don't really remember anything after that in terms of design, but I remember this one. So at least it's memorable.
I think the song was good too. And the opening
one of my
credits,
favorites.
I gotta say, the opening credits, it was super Bond, but it was very much of the time as well. Like this, I knew that
Neon
this was an 80s
colors.
movie. You know, I knew that this was an 80s movie.
And I love the 80s.
Yeah, and yeah, no, I have to say, like, the Duran Duran song "View to a Kill." I think, yeah, it's definitely one of my favorite Bond themes in the series. This might be my second favorite Bond song, to be honest. You guys don't have to wait to hear what the first
I think
Fair.
I know the
favorite
name.
one is for me. Dave knows what it is, but and the opening credits, I like how she zips it down slowly, and then you just see the 007 appear.
Come
Yep.
on. Okay.
That was
That's-
cool.
That's the
But the
best
rest of
part of
the
the whole
credits-
movie.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, right. But the rest of the
Probably.
credits to me weren't that memorable. But that part I liked.
All right. So, speaking of cleavage, moving on to the Bond girls. So, what did you guys think of the Bond girls in this movie?
I want you to go first, John. Please go first.
I don't think that I should
Yeah,
go
John.
first.
Yeah,
Because
just rip off that band-aid.
because I know that what's her name? God, I don't remember her name.
Tanya Roberts? Or you mean the character, Stacy?
Stacy.
Stacy.
So she's gorgeous. She's absolutely gorgeous. I didn't mind her character that much, but the problem for me is that I thought, without a doubt, Mayday Grace Jones was a motherfucking Bond girl in this movie. Like
Yeah.
she stole every goddamn scene that she was in. Her as an assassin, just her as her being like a femme fatale, walking around the place. Grace Jones killed it. Let's talk about this cast for a second, right? I really
On
thought
point.
I thought this cast was awesome. Even the Bond girl, what was her name? I keep on forgetting.
Stacy.
Stacy.
Stacy, right? Even her, like, I actually liked her as a character. I liked her as like a female in a Bond movie. She wasn't that bad, right? She wasn't annoying for me. And again, I think that she was gorgeous. It's just Grace Jones in comparison. Grace Jones was the Bond girl for this movie from beginning to end, where she was assassinating people. I loved it. When she was just walking around, like everyone is like walking around like a normal person, and she's just like
she
in these like
yeah.
freaking costumes, like strutting around the place. And I was like, what the hell? Like she's like on another level to everybody else. She was a Bond villain. She was a henchman. She was the Bond girl. She was everything for this movie.
Everything in the movie, I agree.
And I'm so happy that she is. I don't think that I would have enjoyed this movie literally half as much if anybody else had played that part. Because they could have had the part, but no one would have played it the way that she played it. Like, even she's gorgeous, and like the way that she's just walking around the place, the way that she like her presence in every scene. When she turned, I didn't expect her. I thought she was just going to be the villain throughout the movie as well. And when at the very end, she was like, I thought he loved me. And then she like did not skip a beat. She was like, I'm going to fuck up his
I didn't
plan.
want to eat. Nah, I wasn't into it. Yeah, totally agree.
She did not skip a beat ever where she was like, oh, no, maybe he does love me. She didn't second guess anything. She was like, yo. And it wasn't that he like purposely like put a gun to her head and was like, I'm going to kill you, right? She was kind of collateral damage at that point, but she did not question it at all. She was like, I'm not collateral damage. I'm more important than that. Like, even if, like, you killing off all these people, you cannot try to kill me and think that you're going to get away with it. And she just took matters into her own hands. Even when the thing wasn't working out, she was like, nah, B, I'm going to stay here with it because this is not ending like this.
Plus, I'm gonna give him the ultimate FU at that point in time. It was like,
right,
yeah.
and she literally did. She literally gave him an FU, and I fucking loved it. I love Grace Jones stole it, and the fact that so she was Mayday, right? And there were still like 2 or 3 henchwomen under her as well. Like the fact that she stood out so much. Goddamn, awesome. She's the Bond girl for this movie, and she is at the top.
I mean, I wouldn't. So, I mean, I wouldn't call her the Bond girl. I mean, the Bond girl for this movie is definitely Stacy. Like, she's definitely the Bond girl.
Disagree.
But Grace Jones.
I disagree with that.
Stacy is the Bond girl. I mean, like, she's the one who ends up with Bond, who helps Bond. I mean, she is the main Bond girl. Like, Grace Jones, Mayday is the femme fatale, one of the villains.
So think about it. Think about it, Chris. Right? The criteria. What's the criteria for a Bond girl?
For me, criteria for a Bond girl, someone that works with Bond to help him. You know, that he also sleeps with as well. Well, it doesn't necessarily have to.
No. Hear him out.
That was not the.
But-
sorry.
Hear him out.
I mean, she's the main Bond girl. I feel like there's definitely no question about that. Like, she's the main Bond
So
girl.
you said helps him, sleeps with him. What else?
Probably has like some kind of background story where Bond is like, I don't know, that she kind of confides to Bond about. I feel like is another hallmark of Bond girls I've seen.
Uh-huh.
I mean, Grace Jones is the femme fatale. Like, there's no question that Stacey's
She
the Bond
sleeps
girl.
with him. She sleeps with him, and in the end, she comes around and she does help him. That plan would not have worked without her.
But yeah, but a Bond girl never really works with. Normally, doesn't really work with the villain. Like, you know, Grace Jones was kind
That
of
was
the
out
villain
the window
until the
last
end.
movie.
No,
That was out the window last movie, Chris.
The Bond girl, actually, I find usually what happens is that the Bond girl is with the villain, and then she switches sides to be with James
I
somewhere
disagree.
along the line.
I mean, I haven't really seen that in any of the other Bond movies that kind of way, where like the main Bond girl was with the villain, and then was helping the villain, and then ends up being with Bond. I feel like I haven't really.
Solitaire, the last one, was it?
Okay.
That same one in the one with
Solitaire.
like Kleb, where she was a Russian spy.
Yeah, but hold on. There's a difference between being manipulated into doing something versus actively working together with someone. Like, I feel I understand Chris's point because
she was the main villain last movie.
Yeah,
in
but
my opinion.
she was also being manipulated without her knowledge. Mayday was too.
She got double crossed, not manipulated. Double crossed.
The difference is that Mayday is kind of double crossed here, but up until that point, Mayday was actively participating in the grand scheme of the plot, whereas Octopussy was not.
Pussy Galore.
Pussy Galore was in the.
Octopussy was sorry, as I said, Octopussy was the main villain for me last movie. It was all her plan.
Octopussy was the main villain and was the main Bond girl, so I think that's definitely an exception there.
But it's not an exception. It's not an exception. So your criteria, I hear you, but I don't think that it's an exception. If you Octopussy, Pussy Galore, Domino, like
but Domino wasn't helping the villain that kind of way. Like, she was just
with the villain.
She was with him, but she wasn't like his main plan. But she wasn't helping his plan. Like, she was just with him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, Mayday
was part of
kind
the
of
scheme, but not the main plan.
Yeah, she wasn't like
his plan. Was literally knowing what happens in the future. When she didn't have her power, his plan pretty much fell apart.
These are all thing about it, right? Is that these are all active women. I hear that you're trying
Mayday's
to be
not a Bond girl.
active.
Like, she's not.
She's
a femme fatale.
She is the
even
Bond
the girl
in
from Russia with Love. She was actively working for the KGB.
I'm going to the mat on this one, right? Mayday was the Bond girl. When you break down that criteria, Chris, I do believe that Mayday fulfills all of those criteria.
I second that.
You don't want to see it that way, but I definitely think she fulfills all that criteria. You don't want to see her that way because she was so.
She was amazing.
She wasn't.
So
I mean, no.
present.
She was a Bond girl in that she was in a Bond film, but she wasn't the main Bond girl. She just wasn't.
The presence that she brought, she was the main Bond girl. She was there from beginning to end, and she did more for this movie than any.
Well, let's put it like this. I think she is a Bond girl for sure.
Yeah, she is.
I do think I think every Bond girl, essentially, to be classified as a Bond girl, in my opinion, you would need to be in the Bond movie, work with Bond in some way. Like, even the femme fatales, I associate as Bond girls. Like, if you're going to have a Bond girl reunion, you have to have Mayday. You have to have all the femme fatales, everything. But as Chris says, I don't think, like, when you're when you're looking at the movie
So
as a Bond
I have a
film,
question.
she isn't the
Okay.
main Bond girl because
She's
the main
not.
Bond girl is a side character in a Bond movie that usually is like the sidekick
Mm.
that helps Bond. Mayday
Right.
was more of a henchman, femme fatale type character. So
Right.
it's Bond has
That has
these
been the
these
trope.
characters in every Bond movie, and she fits more into the henchman, femme fatale versus the typical Bond girl. That doesn't mean you
Yes.
can't like change your definition of a Bond girl, but it's
Right.
like in the new movie, No Time to Die, you have Lashana Lynch playing the new 007. She is going to be a Bond girl, but then you have the girl from the last movie. She's also a Bond girl. And looking at the trailer, who's going to be the main Bond girl? Obviously, the one that fits the Bond girl criteria that you'd see in most Bond movies is the blonde chick, not Lashana Lynch. Doesn't mean she can't have a powerful presence and like steal the show, because I agree with John. Mayday absolutely steals the show in
Yeah.
every scene she's in.
I agree as well.
Stacy is, in my opinion, the absolute bottom of the pile. She is the worst Bond girl I've
Totally
seen.
agreed.
She is absolute. Not only is she
Totally agree.
useless,
But
she
she's
is the
so
most
pretty.
annoying Bond girl. Like
Really? No.
absolutely pointless. I
Oh.
hated Stacy as a
Oh
character.
my god.
I feel
Remember
that
Tiffany.
I don't
Come
even
on,
no, she's worse than Tiffany. I don't even know why Stacy's in the plot. Like I can't even remember why Zorin even needs her or wants her land, because she says she doesn't sign anything and then he continues with his
No,
plan anyway. So
it's not the
completely
land. I think it's
pointless.
her shares that he wanted. That's it.
The company.
But
She was just
again, it amounts to nothing. And all she does for the second half of the movie is cry out, "James, like save me!" Like
Don't
literally,
leave me.
I mean, I understand
so
most of the
bad.
Bond girls end up being like a damsel, but she is the absolute worst. In my opinion, she's the worst. I loved Mayday. If I had to choose one Bond girl out of this movie to be my favorite, I'd go with John
It would be
and
Mayday.
go
Mayday.
Mayday
Yeah.
for sure.
I
But
cannot believe that y'all. I want to stand up for Stacey as well. I'm usually so critical of the shitty female character. I did not find her annoying.
What?
As,
she
Oh,
was
wait.
the
like,
worst.
I
This
didn't
is
find her annoying
exactly
at
why I
all,
wanted
actually.
John to go first. All right.
I didn't find her annoying at all, actually. But you know what?
Mm.
Maybe because like I did for this movie, I did enter into a world of like whatever, and the fact that Grace Jones was so awesome, and we had such a great female character, I didn't really care. Like I was like, whatever.
I agree. Grace Jones stole it. And all right, my review. I'm gonna agree with John. I think Grace Jones is it. The same way we did consider Aki the main Bond villain in Thunderball. It was like Aki
the-
died, but
Who's Aki?
No, I think you're getting your.
You mean
your girls
Fiona
mixed up.
Volpe?
Fiona.
sorry, not
Yeah.
Thunderball. Not Thunderball. Ugh,
You
the
mean
one
you
that had
only-
the ninjas.
You only live twice.
You know,
She wasn't.
Yeah.
You only
She
live
wasn't a
twice.
villain.
She
She was.
No,
But
no,
Aki, but she died. But we still considered her the main villain. She would have been the
Main villain?
the Bond girl.
Main villain.
Sorry, the main
Main
Bond.
Bond
girl.
Bond girl, right.
We
oh,
did.
okay.
So
yeah, at the time,
He
yeah.
did.
yeah.
He
We
did.
did.
I thought Kissy Suzuki was a main Bond girl,
Mm.
in my opinion. But
Yeah,
I
no,
mean,
I
like,
remember.
again,
I remember siding with John on that. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Sorry, Ramon.
So if Grace lived, who knows? Things might have been different. She might have been the one at the end, so on and so forth. But back to what I was saying. Oh my
Nabi.
goodness. She
If she lived, she would have killed Zoran and taken over his empire. Like, no, she would not have been like. She would not like. She doesn't want nothing to do with James Bond, a stupid little Asian or whatever. She's like, no, world domination.
fair enough. But John, that's what I was saying. I watched this and I saw Stacy. And I saw the character that was Dr. Goodhead in
Oh God, yeah.
Moonraker. Except like a horrible rendition of it. Like she was supposed to be an expert in her field. She was supposed to be at least somewhat smart. In the entire movie, she was a queen. From begging Bond for help to weird moments where like we're in a fire, he's going to get help. Why are you still screaming? Like, don't leave me.
Yeah, she was pretty terrible, I thought.
Yeah, and
Uh,
I in my vote, I was like, John, this is the Dr. Goodhead character, except horrible and watered down. She is far more annoying.
I
Would
don't
you
find she has
consider her worse
anything
than Dr.
like
Goodhead?
Dr. Goodhead.
The
I
idea that
mean-
you would have had an expert in her field who would have worked with Bond.
What is she an expert in? She just, I don't even know what. She just,
Like a geologist
I don't
or
know.
something?
She was a geologist. But I mean, like, geology's pretty pathetic as a field of study
I
anyhow. So,
I
like,
didn't,
whatever.
yeah,
I didn't say it.
I
I
didn't
did
buy
not
her
say
as a
it.
geologist at all.
I thought that she was pretty. So
That's
Yeah,
about
no,
it.
she was pretty. I mean, I'll say I thought she started off strong. Like I thought her character started off strong.
I
especially
thought
at
it
the
had
party.
potential. I thought she
Yeah,
had potential.
Like where Bond was trying to hit on her, and then she was like, "Nah, fuck you."
Yeah, but I mean, at that point, Roger Moore just comes off as like a creepy old man. Like, I actually felt
He
bad
does.
for the girl that was stuck in the iceberg submarine, having to go a long way to London, and is like, oh my gosh, this old man is gonna creep on her.
I totally agree with you on this one.
Yeah.
Like I thought. I guess I'm gonna go into like my general review.
yo, wait, one note before you jump in that, right? From the opening, I was like, yo, he looks old, dude. Like, he looked old at one point.
Yeah.
I was like, you should not be doing these movies anymore because you are going to break a hip, dog.
You know, I didn't find that way. You know, because I guess I got used to him being old in the previous one. So to me,
You're
it didn't
cussing
really. I didn't
He
really see
looked
that much of a
older in
difference.
this one, man. He
I
just
think
looked
this one
off.
was bad.
does.
In the
I'll give you
very
that.
beginning,
Yeah.
I'm like, did y'all CG him or like do makeup? Because throughout the
No,
rest
he
of
got
it,
his mole removed.
Yeah, I think you got some plastic surgery for this movie
Yeah,
too.
so you could tell.
Mm.
Anyway, moving on to
Yeah.
Bond villains. So we talked about Mayday already. Now talking about Zorin. Chris, what do you think about the villains?
I thought the villains in this movie were great. I really love Mayday. I agree that Mayday stole the show for sure. I think I even told Dave that previously. Like, love her. You know, we haven't had like a weird Bond hench person, in a little while. Like somebody like Jaws or Odd Job or Nick Nat. And she kind of like fits into that mold, like Mayday.
Or the wins. Mm.
Yeah, or what?
The wins.
The wins.
Those guys. Yeah, right. So I thought she was well cast, great, and then Zorin, Christopher Walken, was excellent. I was very intrigued by his character, portraying him as like the super smart person who was also psychotic. I thought it was very well done. It definitely kept me interested to see, what kind of person he really was. In the beginning of the movie, he's like this rich guy, well put together. But then throughout the movie, you see him like, and then towards the end of the movie, you see him like pretty much gun down his, I guess the people that work for him.
Team. Mm.
Yeah, his entire team. He just kind of guns them down, and he's laughing the whole time while he's doing it. And I was like, oh shit, this guy
He plays psychotic extremely well.
extremely
Dude.
fucking well.
Yeah.
He was the perfect actor for that. So I loved him and loved him.
Dude, when he was gunning down people, I was like, you already killed them. Like, everyone there is going to die. Like, why are you gunning down people now? Like, what is the reasoning behind this? And then I'm just like, oh, because you're just like a bad guy. You're just an evil person. I was like, all right, cool.
Yes. Yep.
What about you, John? Did you like the villains?
No, Ramon was like antsy to go, so I want to hear what he has to say.
It's funny. In my opinion, I think the entire cast carried this movie.
The cast was so good.
Yeah, I
Even
definitely.
Stacy was good, guys.
The villains were good. Villains were really good.
Yeah, the villains were really good. But I did not like this as a Roger Moore movie.
What?
I definitely felt like did not write for him in any form or fashion. I don't even think like he had fun with this movie per se.
This is the Diamonds Are Forever of the Roger Moore era for sure.
Yeah.
So
There was no wit. There's no wit, no real banter that went on. Like I
Even the
found
Money
Roger Moore
Penny
was a
scene?
placeholder.
was terrible. Like,
it's not just bad, it was terrible.
It really
I
was.
It was awkward
Yeah.
and cringy. It was I definitely thought they did not write this for Roger Moore, and he was just there. Everybody else carried that show for me. So Christopher Walken,
I don't even think they carried it. I don't think it can be carried. I think it was dragged.
Oh wow.
I will
Wow.
agree with that because my rating is probably going to say the same thing.
Wow.
But
I cannot believe that I am going to be the one to save this movie. Wow.
I think that's hilarious, actually.
I
So,
do too.
going back to villain, John, what were your thoughts on the villain?
I mean, like, there's no way he was so entertaining. Speaking, Ramon, you said they did not write for Roger Moore. You know what? His presence was inferior to everybody else's in this movie, and that was pretty unfortunate because that's the way that he leaves. But I really enjoyed Christopher Walken. He was a fucking psycho in this movie, and he was just bad for no. He was bad for no. He was just bad. He was just a bad person. Like when he was fighting, Mayday, and they were wrestling around, and I was like, "Wow, you are just a creepy fellow. You are just a very creepy person for no reason." At every point, it was just like he made choices that were just, in my opinion, awful choices, but not like they didn't make any sense. It was just like he's coming from a very different point of view to anything that I would ever be like, yeah, that seems like a good idea. And it worked. Throughout the movie, it worked. Him and his fucking blimps. I was like, why are you in a blimp?
Yeah.
But but you know what? At the end of the day, super entertaining. I enjoyed watching this movie because of them. Because Mayday was out there like killing people and running off, and he was out there like scheming, and the horse thing. I was just like, I didn't get the horse thing at all. I was like, why is this such a big deal? And he was such a cheater throughout as well that it was just like there was no point where I was like, oh, I was sympathetic towards him. So I really, really enjoyed it. And what brought it home for me in the very end was when they're in the blimp. He's trying to kill Bond. He tells the guy, go get him. The guy is kind of like, what? Like, are you dumb? Like, I'm not going to go get him. And then that doesn't work out. And then he takes up an axe and he starts trying to like hack at James Bond. I knew that he wasn't going to win, and I knew that James Bond was gonna get the better of him at some point, right? But I appreciated the fact, right, that I always complained that they just don't take him on himself, right? And here's a man in a blimp,
who decided to do it?
In a blimp, tied to a bridge, who decides to go at James Bond with an axe. I couldn't stop laughing. I enjoyed it so much. And the way that he died, I enjoyed it so much. It was such a enjoyable, him and Grace Jones, pure joy.
You appreciate that, but you don't appreciate Blofeld in Honor Majesty Secret Service going after Bond himself for like most of the movie.
How did he? Oh well, you know what? Yeah, you're right. He did go after him a little bit, but no, I didn't appreciate. I didn't appreciate it. Not nearly as much because throughout the movie. So, to me, the thing about Zorin is that he had his plans and he had his ideas and he had his henchmen. And he told them to do it, but when it came down to it. He told everyone to go kill James Bond, and no one had done it. So he was like, fuck it, I'm going to do it myself, one. And two, it also, Zorin is evil. Well, Blofeld is like trying to sadistic and whatnot. Like you said, the scene where they were underground and he was just shooting people for the sake of shooting people, I was like, wow, you were truly an evil motherfucker.
But I will say this, just a quick thing. The writing for Christopher Walken and the writing for Mayday, I guess Stacey, like these are all smart, creative characters. And at no point I thought that Bond engaged them in dialogue in any reasonable or witty
Right,
manner.
right, right.
Every point Bond met Christopher Christopher Walken's character,
Zoran.
Zoran, it was like one-liners, oh, you got me in trouble, so on and so forth. I'm like, where's the banter? Where's the
Right.
regular Roger
Yeah.
Moore wit or something?
That's
So
a good point.
that's a good segue into one-liners, because I disagree. There is my one-liner of the movie actually is a little bit of banter with Zorin. It's
So, give
right.
your one-liner and then give us your villain review. haven't done
Well,
that
I
yet.
mean, my one-liner is right after Mayday. So I thought this was smart what Bond did, because he's gonna get caught out snooping because they are in his room. He sees that, so he's like,
Right.
shit. So he sneaks into Mayday's room and then plays off the earlier conversation and is like, I can't remember what the conversation was earlier, but it's like, I was waiting for you, and then she just like goes with
No,
it.
she.
Was
And-
it you?
saying
You
that
said
she
you were
would
going to
take
take
care
care of me personally.
Oh yes, there
Yeah,
you
she
go.
said she's gonna
Yeah.
take care of him herself.
So then, like the next morning, Zoran is asking, you slept well, and Bond is like a little restless, but I got off eventually. Thought that was great, because
That
Grace Jones like gets on top of Bond, and you see like Bond like, whoa.
Yeah.
I thought that was clever. Quickly, like
that was very subtle though. That was a very subtle line. That wasn't like a dum dum
No,
dum. That was
once again,
very.
it's
Yeah,
a very
the-
Roger Moore line, a Roger Moore move, but
Yeah, the
wasn't enough of
dialogue
that.
in this
That
movie
was-
wasn't that great, to be honest. I see what Ramon is saying. I liked the villain. I thought Christopher Walken was great. I think he was cast in the wrong movie. I think that such a good villain, he could have done so much better if he was in a better movie. Because he is a great movie. Sorry, he is a great villain. So he deserved a better Bond movie to be a villain. Kind of the same thing with Christopher Lee. Man with the Golden Gun wasn't a good movie, but Christopher Lee was an awesome villain. It just kind of
Man with
sucks
the
they
Gold-
can't get all the parts and
the elements right.
yeah. But yeah, I thought he was great. I love how psychotic he is. The part where he dies and he's like slipping and he realizes he's slipping and then he laughs. Fantastic. Loved him. I hated the German scientist, the guy with the little eyeglass
Right,
thing. That was so ridiculous.
Weird.
I loved Mayday, obviously. So yeah. So back to one-liners. What are you guys one-liners?
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree with Dave. That was my favorite one-liner right there. Yeah. So I'll turn it to you
What was
guys.
yours, Ramon?
It's funny. I find the one line that was written for Roger Moore at the end, where you can tell he smiled in it, and I believe that smile was at the end where he's dealt with everyone. The blimp has exploded. They're on the bridge. There's never a cab when you need it.
Terrible.
But that is such a
Absolutely.
classic Roger Moore line, and he delivered it in a
Terrible.
classic Roger Moore way. And I was like, oh,
Terrible.
this is the last Roger Moore movie after that line.
I cannot believe that is the line that you motherfucking picked. I'm
Yeah.
so disappointed.
I mean, it's slim
Wow.
pickings.
It is slim
It's right,
pickings.
slipping in.
You want to know why? Because my line wasn't even that good. My line was when they're at the club and Grace Jones kills a guy and Roger Moore buys there's a fly in his soup. I was like,
Oh,
what?
B. That's.
I
I'm
kinda
sorry.
had to-
That scene
had to-
really pissed me off. I
I kind of
can't.
had to rewind it a little bit because I was like, wait, what just happened there? I'm
Not-
confused. Because he
Definitely
just
not
like
written for
there's a
Roger
fly
Moore.
in his soup, and then he just
Nah.
like ran off. But again, so we did one-liners, synopsis of the movie, and final scores. Listen, if you watch this movie like a serious movie, you're gonna come out very upset, and I think that's the wrong way to go about this. To get any joy out of this movie, you have to treat it like a B movie it's further removed than camp. It's just a little bit too ridiculous. But if you buy into the ridiculousness of it all, you're gonna have a good time.
So
And
you should rewatch Moonraker in that.
no,
We're
God, no,
totally
I never
watching
watched
rewatching that.
No,
We're
no, no,
totally
I
watching. I'm
never.
coming over. We're watching that, John.
No,
Let's
I
Because
make it
don't. I
happen.
don't
in,
know.
in that way, Moonraker is a much better movie than this.
Than
Listen,
this,
the
by
minute
far.
the minute that they played California Girls, I was like, oh, I get it. I get what's gonna happen here. I knew that this movie was gonna be horrible, but the minute that they went that far with it so early on, I was like, this is gonna be a shit show, and just enjoy it. And I enjoyed it. It was a fun ride. It wasn't a good ride, but it was a fun ride, and I laughed my ass off. Not at things that I was supposed to laugh my ass off, but I did laugh my ass off. And I think this movie is a solid 6, potentially a 7. But I'll give it a 6.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
And Moonraker
Yeah.
too?
Yeah. Okay, maybe I'll watch Moonraker again. Maybe we can get a little bit drunk, Ramona, and we can watch Moonraker. But I've got to say, right? It's not just that this was an entertaining bad movie. It's that Christopher Walken and Grace Jones. I gotta stress to you guys. I really enjoyed
Supporting cast carried it. Yep.
watching her in this movie was just so it makes me want to watch. I don't know if she was in like a lot of other movies. I don't know what her other movies were. I want to see more of her because she was so powerful, like entertaining as fuck.
Yeah.
Every time she was on screen, she was just
Yeah.
entertaining. When when they're in Paris and Bond is chasing her, I was just like, man, I want to see her kick his ass. I want him to like get on top of her so she could like kick him off out the window of a building or something. Like I wanted to see what she was gonna do to him, and she didn't disappoint in any way. And I really enjoyed it. What do you think, Chris?
Would you rate this above Octopussy or below?
See, that is the thing, right? At the end of the day, although I was entertained, that's the reason. What did I give it? A 6?
6.
6, yeah.
I gave it a
Give
6, right?
Octopussy a 6 too.
Yeah. At the end of the day, right? I was entertained at this movie. I have to admit that still not like a great movie. It's not like a work of art, right? I probably would rate this below. Yeah, for sure. I would rate this below.
Yeah. I mean, final thoughts overall. I mean, I think the plot was fine. I liked, the villain's main plan to like flood Silicon Valley. Ambitious, kind of interesting.
See, so did any of y'all think, right, at any point, you were like, the man is just gonna kill everybody there. There's other ways to like, economically disrupt things. Like the man is just like, no, we're just gonna sink it into a hole.
Eliminate
Like
Slam.
it's just not going to exist anymore. I was like, you are crazy. Like you fucking crazy person.
It probably was a bit like, maybe a bit unbelievable.
He's literally moving the whole tectonic plate, like
He
moving
was
the
like-
earth to please.
I mean, they revisited that in the movie San Andreas, didn't they?
San Andreas? Which one?
Is that like disaster movie?
Oh,
So-
yeah.
Actually, yeah.
With The Rock.
Listen, it's like if it's like if Trump decides that he has beef with Mia Maldi and he's like, you know what, we're just gonna get rid of Barbados. We're gonna disrupt stuff and we're just gonna like the sea will eat it up and Barbados will be no more. And I'm like B, they're just companies. Like you could just like get rid of the companies, like make it really difficult for them to operate out there. You don't need to like destroy the whole land mass. Like you're literally crazy.
You could just pay somebody to like burn down the fucking factories.
Yeah, when everybody's
Or
at
industrial
home.
espionage, like it was a real thing back then too. Yeah.
Jesus
I
Christ.
mean, I don't know. Yeah, no, I mean, I think his scheme was definitely a bit extra, a bit much. But
Over
for some
the
reason,
top.
I kind of, I don't know, for some reason, I just found that really interesting. I was like, I never thought about
Entertaining.
that. If you cause a, yeah, entertaining. If you cause a earthquake or some shit with the goal of like just flooding an entire section of of Los Angeles or California. I was like,
My mom bought out an entire oil company to do so.
Seriously.
interesting. So I think the right word is entertaining. I was entertained by that plot. However, there were a good lot of negatives about this movie. Like the pacing of the movie slowed down a lot, I think, in the second half of the movie.
Really?
I thought it slowed down a little bit. The horse racing storyline in the beginning, I actually liked it. I was interested in it, even though maybe it didn't add anything. In the end, my thing is like we've seen that in other Bonds before, like Goldfinger, for example, where you start with like a smaller storyline to kind of learn a little bit more about the villain, and then you finally find out about his master plan. So I don't really take points away because of the horse storyline, the horse racing piece of it. Found that interesting as well. But I did find the pacing slow down a little bit. Like, I felt like a lot of the action came at the end, but like towards the middle of the movie, like there wasn't really much action, and you had Bond at the main Bond girl's house, and her kind of like just telling him her backstory, and I was like, I don't give a fuck. Like, what is this? Like, why? And with that, the Bond girl is kind of weak. Like, she started off strong, but she just turned into a damsel in distress. She just turned in, a good concept in the beginning. Turned into a damsel in distress. She wasn't the worst, but definitely not the best. And I think the action wasn't the greatest either. And really, the thing that really shone through on this movie were just the villains. Christopher Walken and Grace Jones definitely were the standouts for this movie. So with that, and then also Roger Moore looking old as fuck, and I kind of see your guys' point. David was kind of making that point to me, like kind of old and kind of creepy. I'm like, all right, I can see that. I just didn't see the suaveness that I guess it's hard to buy that some of these women are still gonna be falling over him when he looks like when he's as old as he is right now. Like,
and he should now be the cute old man.
Exactly.
He could be cute. Part of the cute man.
The charming old man that they kind of were like, if only I was older.
Exactly.
Like, I want to set you up with my mom. I want to set you up with my mom.
Dave, wow. So he couldn't be like the elderly gentleman who is suave and sophisticated. Like he
was, but
he wasn't suave in this movie at all.
He was no longer selling me that he was an actual ladies' man. He was just I don't know, man. I even bought it in Octopussy because you know what? Maud Adams was a good pairing for him.
Yeah,
in this movie, Stacy was absolutely not. It was just wasn't.
Yeah. So I'll give this movie a 5. It's definitely nowhere near as bad as Diamonds Are Forever. Like, much better than Diamonds Are Forever, but too many negatives. Like, I got to give this a 5.
Cool. Ramon?
This movie had all the pairings to be absolutely amazing, in my opinion. And at this point, I'm like, you can tell how the main character can make and break Bond. So as I was saying, I don't think they wrote for Roger Moore in this. I didn't buy him as suave. It seemed like a more serious Bond, which I'm sad they went out on. Because if you've put in Cap,
wait, pardon me.
It in.
You said what?
This seemed like like a written serious Bond.
Okay.
Because it wasn't whimsical, it wasn't funny, I love the story.
It was ridiculous.
From the plot. Yeah. I love the plot because No, I love the plot. It was set up. It had all the setups, as I was saying. Good detective movie. I actually love the horse racing part because once again, you know who's the general bad guy. You need to, you know, have some surveillance information. You need to meet him in a situation where he is off guard, and then you need to proceed, which is what the horse racing part was. Very interesting. Villains, very interesting. Story, very interesting. I even thought like the secondary characters, so like Sir Godfrey as well, or Sir Geoffrey. Sir Geoffrey was funny. Like all of the supporting cast, they were there. They showed up, but it was just a letdown for Roger Moore movie for me. Like it didn't come together. He didn't seem suave. He definitely smooth in any form or fashion. He seemed like a Bond that was caught out on all the occasions, not all the occasions. So I would give it a worse rating if not for the supporting cast. Like everybody else dragged this movie, as we were saying. So I would give it a 5 because of that. So I'm gonna go first.
Okay.
It could have been great.
All right. So my general thoughts. This movie was not good. I did not enjoy it. There's like
You didn't.
Really?
Wait, back up. You guys might not think that's a good movie, right? But you didn't enjoy it?
no, I didn't enjoy this movie or Diamonds Are Forever. Like I didn't get much enjoyment out of watching this movie.
Ramon, did you enjoy this movie?
I actually did enjoy it.
Yeah.
It
Chris, did you enjoy this
disappointed.
movie?
I
But
enjoyed
I
this
did
movie.
enjoy
Yeah,
it.
actually, I did
Okay,
enjoy watching this movie.
cool. All right.
Like,
I mean, you're
Which is
more
why
than
it
welcome to
passed.
your opinion, right?
Only reason
You're
why
more
it
than
passed.
you are more than welcome to your opinion. It's just
Mhm.
I thought that was the one thing. I acknowledge that this wasn't a good movie, but I did enjoy watching it. Like there wasn't a part where I was like I wanted to see more as opposed to oh god, please just be over. And I remember a couple of them where I was just like second that I was just like okay, yeah, like I'm good.
yeah,
I'm good. I'm ready for
that
it
was
to be
my
over.
exact feelings though. I just wanted it to be over.
Yeah.
I would only ever watch this movie if I'm watching all the Bonds. I would only ever recommend someone watching this movie if they absolutely need to watch all the Bonds. But for me, this with Diamonds Are Forever are two Bond movies that you can definitely skip.
What if you
Doesn't
wanted
need to be
someone to
watched.
see one a strong female character because I think Grace Jones was a
Grace
very
Jones has been in many other movies that you can watch her be.
Be
very
but in
funny
the Bond universe, if you had to watch a Bond movie where a strong female character
There are a couple
Watch
more
doing her
Thunderball.
own damn things.
Yeah.
Watch Thunderball. Fiona Volpe. Much
Watch
better.
Moonraker.
Fiona Volpe, are you what?
Watch
Fiona Volpe
Moonraker.
was
Watch The Spy Who
awesome.
Loved Me,
Really?
actually. The Spy Who
watch
Loved
that.
Me.
There's so many other movies that there's like crazy
Jesus
villains too
Christ,
that are
guys.
like Zorin. Zorin is like a carbon copy. His whole scheme is like a carbon copy of Goldfinger.
So I thought that I was the only one who thought that because I was comparing him a lot to Goldfinger, but the difference is that I thought Zoran was a little bit more entertaining, to be honest. He was just weird. He was just so weird, and came together for me. Anyhow, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, I love Christopher Walken as the villain, but again, I could watch another movie that has Christopher Walken as the villain really, really well. So it's like for me, I don't think these movies need to be watched. There's no real memorable action scenes in it. There's no real memorable stunts that stand out.
Not even the skiing in the beginning, Dave?
Not even the
No.
fire truck.
Dude, the fire truck shit is
Oh.
terrible. Like they could have just left that whole shit out.
Yeah, I
Like,
hated that. I
The
hated
scene
that.
where he lifts
That's so
Stacy out of the thing and they're playing the theme is like, what the hell is this? Is this even
Oh, yeah, that
James
was very
Bond
cheesy.
anymore? This whole movie doesn't even feel like James Bond. And I said the same thing about Diamonds. And
Then
I don't know
took
what
over.
it is. It's like they set it in America and they did the same shit in Diamonds. They have the
I
shitty
knew you were gonna
American
say
cops.
that.
And
I
I
knew
just
you were gonna say that.
this movie stank of Diamonds. Like I did
Listen.
not enjoy it.
You know what the funniest part is, right? I knew that you were gonna say that. I knew that you were gonna like, because I had the same thought about the cops. And you're gonna be like, "Oh, it's stupid America," you know, it's set in America. It's like they should never be in America. I knew you were gonna do that. Here's the thing, right?
But
When I was
Goldfinger was
watching
set
it
in
as well,
America. I didn't like the American part in Goldfinger, but Goldfinger was still a good movie.
exactly. But you had problems with America. You just admit it, Dave. You have problems with America.
But in the
But,
Bond movies we've seen so far, every time they've gone to America, I haven't enjoyed it. That is a fair. But I think that may change in the future.
So what I thought was this didn't feel like a James Bond movie, and that's why I enjoyed it, because I fall into the disbelief and being like, all right, this actually felt, I don't even know if I would go so far as a spy movie, but it felt like there were spy elements. But I feel like if it was more like a crazy action movie, it's one of those like over the top action movies where they know that the movie itself isn't very good, so they just like throw in a bunch of like crazy shit. And the funny part is that I actually think at its core, the story, there's actually a lot of good stuff here, and it's the dumb action that they threw in that kind of like weakened it. But I think that's, I don't know whose fault that is. It's just like, as the viewer watching it in hindsight, that's what I thought. It didn't play out like a James Bond movie. It definitely played out like some. If Tom Cruise were starring in this and you called it something else, I would have been like, okay, I'll watch that, and I'd probably really enjoy it and be like, it'll be one of those shitty movies that I just enjoy watching.
I don't know. For me, I didn't
not gonna
enjoy
lie,
it.
Bruce Willis could have played this. There's a lot of
Dude, Bruce
yeah.
Willis would have played this so
would
well.
have killed this, I think. Yeah.
I don't know if I go that far, but
I
mean, I don't know. It still felt like a
Hey,
Bond
what at the
movie to me.
time? In this time,
I don't know, man. I don't think anyone could have saved this movie. They would have to completely redo the script.
Not as a James Bond movie, but as like...
No, even as a general, even as an action movie, if you take the James Bond out of it, I would enjoy this even less. I think the only reason I enjoy this as a... So my rating is a 4. I would rate this below a 4 if it wasn't
still pretty
James
high,
Bond.
actually.
Because the one things I like are the James Bond parts of it.
Dave, if you want, go for it. Give it a 3. Just give it a 3, man.
Oh no, because it's not worse than Diamonds or Never Say Never Again. Like I still enjoy it for what it is, but it's if it wasn't a James Bond movie, I feel it would be, in my opinion, even worse. I would not be watching this if it wasn't James Bond. I disagree.
Because you know what? At the end of the day, this movie was entertaining. It was entertaining. And
you maybe.
God, I was so... But that's what I'm saying, man. I love me a good B movie. I love me a good, like... If I know that you're making a shitty movie and you know that you're making a shitty movie and we can roll these punches, do it. And
yeah, but they didn't know they did not know they were making a shitty movie.
I feel like if they had to, listen, whoever made the decision to play California Girls, right?
No.
Made the decision
John,
Girls,
as I was saying, the elements are in play. Like, it could have been good to me, but they didn't set up the way most Bonds go. Like, put some wit in the scenes where it drags. Like, we need to be entertained. We need to believe Bond's the main character. Through this, I was like, you're just here. You're really just here.
Yeah. I said already I'm giving this a 4. So overall rankings for this is
I gave this movie the motherfucking highest score.
Yeah.
Wow.
You gave this movie
impressive.
I cannot believe this.
I can't believe this either.
Wow.
I thought John was gonna shit on this movie too.
Like, I thought this would be the 2. Like, oh my god.
It's funny because John, you and I are usually on these on Roger Moore movies, we're pretty similar.
You know, don't get me wrong. Even when, like, me and Dave had like a preliminary discussion about this movie, and even when I was watching it through, I was like really high on this movie. Like the first half of this movie, I was like really high on it because I was like, this movie isn't bad. Like, it's really not as bad as I thought it was gonna be. But
I felt that about Moonraker. Like I
still think that about Moonraker.
I enjoyed Moonraker way more than this. Like if all the points John is saying, I agree with. I just don't agree with it for this movie. I feel like his points I would use for Moonraker, but not this. So right now the overall ranking between the four of us is a solid 5. So right down the middle. Not as bad as Diamonds. That seems to be the unbeatable
worst.
piece of shit.
I don't think
And-
anything's gonna beat that though. I think that's no wait, that's a lie. There's one. We'll see.
There's one.
Yeah, there's one that has potential.
There's
We'll
one.
see.
So we'll see.
There's one.
You know
Um,
what? For that one though, I think I gotta get a little bit drunk. If I get a little bit drunk, I might enjoy
But then
it
you're gonna give it a better rating. Let's have it authentic as we can. We can do that with the others.
I can't
Nah,
believe
man, I
I
don't
paid
wanna give it a
$3.99
bad
for that
rating.
movie to rent that shit. Jesus Christ.
So that puts A View to a Kill at 13th out of 15 movies. If we're counting Never Say Never Again, if we're not, then it is
We're
second
not.
last to Diamonds. So
Okay, good.
it's the bottom of the
Wow.
barrel.
Guys, why would you do that?
I mean, it's true.
This movie's not that bad.
Neither is Moonraker.
Neither is
No,
Moonraker
Moonraker's pretty
again.
awful.
Like we were watching that before we do our bond rankings, John. Like I need to change your mind on this movie.
Oh shit! Are we gonna go through the movies again since this is the final Roger
Oh,
Moore?
yeah.
I forgot about that.
That's true. That's
So next time we will go through all the Roger Moore movies, kind of discuss how they stack up against each other, and revisit the rankings. So kind of revise our personal rankings for all the 14 Bond movies before
I think
moving
I'm
on
gonna-
to Timothy Dalton. I'm excited. Timothy Dalton. I don't know why I just did that, but
Seems that way.
I'm-
Yeah, seriously,
I'm-
that was
I'm-
odd. That was
I'm
odd.
excited. That's, you saying vote?
I know
I
I'm
don't know.
like pouring one out for Roger Moore right now. Like I'm gonna miss you.
Yeah,
you.
you know,
Oh,
he's still,
I won't.
You know he's still alive.
Timothy Dalton. Let's go. I'm
No, he's
excited.
dead.
for
In the
Timothy
Bond
Dalton.
movies. In the Bond
Roger Moore's
movies.
dead, isn't he?
Oh yeah, he's passed away. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that. I thought he was still alive.
Actually, I'm reading his biography. Ooh,
Why?
Roger Moore. Cause he's cool. I like Roger Moore.
Mm.
Seconded.
There he is
I'm
with,
actually gonna watch some couple more movies.
Solitaire.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Would love to.
Creepy
bet
older guy.
too.
So next time we'll do the rankings, and then we'll move on to the Living Daylights, which I cannot wait to talk about. That's gonna be a good
I
one.
think we should just talk about that next.
Why you don't want to go? You don't want to fix up your rankings?
Actually, I do. I kind of do. Yeah, you're right. I do.
There's a lot for us to go through, and I mean, if we also include the
Never say never.
Oh,
not
yeah.
never say never. We're not including that piece of shit. Like that. Let that just die. Like that's.
It's on Sean Connery's bottom of the list.
But
That-
Sean Connery's. If we include Sean Connery's movie, we got a lot of movies to go through. You know. Like,
that's true. That's true.
Well, I mean, I think that for the Sean Connery ones, we would just go. We won't spend too much time on them. I think
Yeah.
Right.
what we'll do is we'll start with Roger Moore and then work our way back to Sean Connery and see if you have to adjust some of those to suit.
Yeah.
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 But anyway, guys, that wraps up bonding time. So we'll see you next time.
Later.
Don't forget, hey, you guys, leave a comment down below. What did you think was like the worst part of this movie? Let us know.
No. What was the best part of this movie?
Was
Yeah,
there a
that
best
too.
part?
Best and
Sean,
worst
though.
parts of this
Yeah.
movie.
I'd love to
Let
be
us
Mayday.
proven wrong, so feel free
Mayday.
to leave comments.
Pour one out
Alright.
for Roger Moore. Ugh. Peace.
Bye, Raji.
Peace.